Yeah.
And students as well, like I remember the days of the grind when their grandmothers would volunteer to come and work with them because they couldn't be on site without an 18-year-old. So it was bring your grandma day, right?
Yeah.
Like so many, if you think outside of the box, there are ways to make an impact on a community that doesn't always require writing a check.
Yeah. So that's when we first met, I think, was
Yes.
through the grind. That was about a decade ago. When did that start?
The grant was written in 2015, so yeah, it opened officially in November of 17 and then was sold in 21. So,
yeah. So that's one of the coolest experiences and stories and I've seen in a school ever.
Oh my gosh. So we had no idea.
Yeah.
We had no idea the amount of work that was going to be involved.
By the way,
in doing that.
I love that. There's a lot of times that a project never gets going because you don't have everything figured out. But sometimes you just got to get into it, and then you realize what's going on, but you adapt, you learn, you grow, and you figure it out. But
Build the plane as you
I'm
fly
so glad you guys started it, but sorry to...
No. So we saw Mark Perna yesterday at Bay College, and he said, say yes and figure out the rest later. And I was like, that should be our mantra.
Okay.
Right? So we sent a group to the Michigan State University CEC conference, which is Connecting Entrepreneurial Communities. It's either 2014 or 15. And that just kind of was the launch pad for us for... you can make a difference in a community. You can join a board. You can start a business. You can involve students. And it really kind of kicked off the grind. And so that was a super exciting venture for those that don't know. Limestone owned a building, and it was... to say dilapidated would be a compliment to this building. We had a quote to tear it down, and the quote was $12,000.
Okay.
And I felt like that was a lot of money to spend to remove something.
Yeah.
So we just kind of sat on it, and then this idea of creating a student-operated small business came about. And honestly, we drug our feet. We spent about 2 years figuring out how we were going to do this. We worked with students twice a week during their seminar period. And students went through every iteration of this business from...
So like even the concept, hey, let's do a student-run business, but then just that very, very broad concept was discussed with students.
Yeah, we had 50 students, and we talked about...
That many?
It showed up.
Wow.
Showed up. Now,
wow.
it declined over time. But the first meetings were 50 students, and they were so excited at the thought that we had $20,000 in a building.
Yeah.
You would have thought it was $1 million.
Yeah.
Now, we intentionally waited, and I don't say this too often, but I guess everyone will know now, but we intentionally waited months to show them the building, because once they got to the inside of the building, it was a little deflating, right? All of a sudden, it's like, oh my gosh.
It's a little bit of work. Here.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's very small. The floors aren't level. It's, but we could see a vision, and we had gotten beyond that initial...
Did you know at that time it was gearing toward coffee, or still didn't know?
We did. Okay. We knew in advance that we had done some market research and knew if we could get them toward this type of a business, that it would be successful in Manistee. They had all different kinds of ideas: bakeries, coffee shop, video game, like a space for students to go and hang out, play video games.
Of course, that would be an option
comedy,
kids would come up with,
all kinds of ideas. But at the end of the day,
this town always had some arcade when I was a kid.
It did?
Yeah, TJ's Pizza was the one when I was little.
And then there was
and
one,
Space Invaders and all
exactly,
that.
just a spot for kids to go, and so that was initially a real discussion.
Okay.
There were some setbacks to that for us, quite frankly, is we needed to be able to create something that we could run inside of the scope of a business day, right? And that...
So just logistically for everybody, it's a perfect location.
It is.
So the school's right behind us. You guys are just literally right across the main street. And then the building is right next to where you guys are located. So it's a 30-second walk from the school to get here.
Across the street, back and forth. So they did as a group, they came up with coffee. They talked about, I love the part where they wanted to sell donuts, and we kind of talked through all of the donuts and the cost of making them and the equipment that would be necessary and the food permits and all of this. And at some point, someone said, well, you have to start at 4 a.m. if you're going to make donuts fresh every day. And I mean, you couldn't watch them cross that off the list quick enough.
That's the old,
no one was getting up.
I think Dunkin' commercial, time to make the donuts.
Time to make the donuts.
Poor guys getting up at.
No bread or donuts were being made in that shop because no one was getting up at 4 a.m.
Me included.
Me included. So that went quickly to the wayside, and we moved on to coffee, espresso, those types of things. So it was such a great opportunity for students to see something like I mean, we literally built it as we flew, right? So we did it side by side with students all the way through. And so it operated from from 17 to 21 before we
operated.
Sold it. Yes.
Okay.
So it was.
And so the first concept was in 2015?
Yep. And then we opened for first public customers was 17.
So the cool thing about that too is the conversations you're having in 2015, a lot of those kids were then graduated by the time it became operational. Yeah,
and they actually came back and worked in the summer at the shop while they were going to college or came home for the summer. So lots of community involvement, lots of students who went through this process over that period. I mean, we had freshmen who sold cookbooks to fundraise who were not there when it actually opened in 17, right? So, well, the freshmen would have been, but the seniors already graduated. So just a great opportunity to watch them explore the idea of starting a business. So one day, one prime example is somebody said, we should put a second story on it. And someone said, that's dumb. You can't put a second story on that building. And so we really tried to stay away from that. No question is dumb. No thought is dumb. There's no reason we can't explore this. So Nest Contracting came over from Escanaba. They drilled down with students to see what the foundation looked like. They came in and spoke to the students about the cost per square foot of building. So we spent a good month and a half exploring the idea of a second story, and it turned out it wasn't feasible. But it didn't mean there wasn't a lesson for all of us in exploring that. And we had the time, and we had so many great community partners that were willing to come and talk to students that I really loved that part of it. I'd love to go back and redo that portion of it because I think those are the lessons that you can't teach in a classroom, right? You can't teach somebody to stand next to an engineer and bore holes to see how wide the foundation is. And there were so many great opportunities like that. Great Lakes Roofing did the insulation. So right alongside students, they drilled into the ceiling and blew insulation in. Jake Rivard did the concrete floors. And I stopped over there one evening, and there's him and his 12-year-old son doing it. Right? His son is now 18, 19 years old. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but he works with Jake. And every time he goes into that coffee shop, he knows he did that when he was 12 years old. There's such value in the work that was done there. And I really loved that portion of that project. So then they opened in November, opened 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we ran that. I mean, we tested later hours and different hours, and really that 7 to 2 segment really worked. But
and a student was in there all the time, right?
Most 90, unless they were
every
sick
time I went
or
in
something.
there were students in there.
So students worked on everything, menu creation. I remember an example where one of the students said, we need to increase the price on the drinks because milk has gone up. We had a partnership with Jack's, and they gave us a discount on all of our milk products. And when they went to pick up milk for the day, they noticed milk had increased. And I remember asking why. How much is milk an ounce? How many ounces do you use in a drink? So equate that out to a cost, so then we can determine what that looks like retail. So again, a lesson that you just don't get every day. So there's thousands of those lessons. in the 4 years, but it was just such a great opportunity for students to learn those things in real time. And I think